Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to another Supatease video. And Blizzard is going to be doing a lot of class changes over these next coming weeks. They've announced a schedule, and if they're indicative at all of the changes that are coming in for this Tuesday, there's basically no certainty as to which specializations are going to remain on the top in terms of power and which ones are going to stay on the bottom in terms of power. So in today's video, I wanted to go over a tier list just talking about the playstyle of the specializations and which ones I am most excited for. So this is going to be a most fun tier list. Now, obviously, there's going to be a little bit of subjectivity in that, and I'm going to do my best to account for that and the type of bias that I have as a player and the certain playstyles that I try to aim for, and to adjust that for you if you don't happen to align with my preference of fun. But other than that, if you want to make sure that you're staying up to date with news related to World of Warcraft, educational and entertaining content, then make sure to smash that subscribe button. Your support is greatly appreciated. So Affliction Warlock is a specialization that I always love. I love putting multiple damage over time effects on targets, watching their health bars all just rot down at the same time. And Affliction can achieve that fantasy right now. It's got a lot better dispel protection. It's got great defense. It's well-rounded. It's great. It's one of the specializations that I'm just like waiting for the gates to open to be able to log into. And it also has the bonus that it is strong. And it's strong in a position where I kind of think it's not going to get nerfed, so it's kind of a safe one. It's something that I'm very excited for, and I think could be reasonably safe. Of course, nothing is guaranteed, but I do think it could be a reasonably safe pick. So for me, Affliction Lock is going on the max fun tier list. Arcane Mage, it got a major rework, complete overhaul, new Apex talent, new system with arcane missiles. It's really fun to play when you're not in PvP, but when you're in PvP and you're getting chain interrupted with how much hardcasting you have to do and you only have one school of magic, it immediately goes into an omega tilt factor. For me, this is one that's probably going to be more fun in Battlegrounds, where you're able to avoid interrupts and stay kind of on the outskirts and free cast a lot more frequently than it is likely to be in Arena. And I think, unfortunately, I think Arcane probably will fall off to Fire or Frost competitively in Arena, just because it is so stationary and it requires so much hard casting. Unlike other specializations like Destruction Warlock that have 3 schools of magic that are major that you need to consider with Fear, Soulfire, and Chaos Bolt, Arcane just pretty much has Arcane. That's it. And then you throw down a Ring of Frost and you're like, please don't kick me. So for me, it is fun in a vacuum, but like it has some major drawbacks. So I'm putting it just kind of on the middle tier here in terms of my preference for it when it comes to fun. Will it get buffed? Will it get nerfed? It's kind of in a spot where I don't know if they'll really do any changes to it. I do hope they add a multiple school of magic to it. I saw an interesting idea in a comment section of a previous video where they should have like a talent where every time they cast a spell, it has a random chance to convert into a different school of magic, so you never know what exactly you're interrupting against Arcane. I don't know if that would be really overpowered, but it would actually suit Arcane pretty well as far as flavor, but it might end up being really OP if you just end up kicking them on like random trees like nature that they don't even have. Or maybe it should be spell schools of the spells that it has with Fire, Arcane, and Frost or something like that. It could, when you interrupt them, you don't know if you're actually kicking them on Frost, Arcane, or Fire. I think it could end up being frustrating, but maybe that could be a way to alleviate some of their pain points. Arms Warrior is really good right now. The crowd control changes make it feel a lot better, and the snare reductions as well feels a lot better, and it's got a really good damage profile, and I always love Arms Warrior. They did change how Rend works, though. It's not going to apply with Thunderclap anymore, but for me, this is one that I'm also just like very eagerly awaiting to be able to log in at the moment. And it is kind of in a spot where maybe it could potentially get a little bit of a damage nerf, but I think it's also maybe a bit unlikely. It might just stay where it is. I'm hoping that they bring up the bottom in this current tuning pass. There's a couple specs that need to be brought down from the top, but I don't think it's the ones that I've got currently up here. I'm hoping that they do buff from the bottom, more so than nerf from the top this time around, but it's a really good one to go for. And Assassination Rogue is much improved from Season 1 to Season 2. It's also just absolutely blasting and really strong right now. But I really enjoy it a lot more now that the energy regeneration issues that were going on with it in Season 1 have been accounted for, and it just does a crazy amount of damage. So I do think like this week it's going to be max fun because it's just crazy strong and everybody's going to be running people down. You may also want to re-roll to a dwarf for this week if you want to survive the massive wave of assassination rogues. But for me, this is one where I think it's max fun, but it's probably going to get nerfed. So this is a dangerous one to consider there. Augmentation Evoker, I'm sorry, but it's a no thanks. It's just exactly the same pain points. Maybe it's even weaker, to be honest, now. having lost the previous set bonus. We'll have to see. But for me, it's just it's a no-go. Keeping Ebonmite is really annoying, even though it is a better time to play because you're not getting one-shot by the stun locks of Subtlety Rogues as frequently as you were before. But it needs some pain point adjustments before it's going to be fun, I think, for at least myself to pick up again. Blood Death Knight. It's getting some buffs because it's so good in PvE. It could end up being kind of fun. Like out of all the tanks, like I'm considering Battlegrounds for this point, not so much arenas. It could be kind of fun to check it out. I think in Battlegrounds, see how much damage it does, but not really on the top of my thing to do this patch. I don't think I'm really stoked about like playing any of the tanks, but maybe this one would stand out a little bit more. Guardian Druid, I'm expecting it's probably just going to be the same. So again, just kind of running through the middle of the pack here. I don't think too much is going to change for it. Beast Mastery Hunter, this is where, you know, our tastes might differ. I prefer a little bit more of a complicated playstyle than what Beast Mastery Hunter currently has available to offer, but Beast Mastery is a spec that's very strong and probably a safe pick. So if you want simplicity, safety, and strength all in one package, Beast Mastery is really good to go for. But for me, I find it just very basic at the moment, unfortunately. So I'm going a little bit lower on it. Not as low as Augmentation, but a tiny bit lower. Okay, we got another tank spec up on... Brewmaster for me is not really too interesting. I think the only thing fun about it looks like you can do like backflip, kick people over your head in Battlegrounds. That looks kind of fun. But like I've never really just been super driven to be like, I gotta check out Brewmaster. I don't think anything this patch is gonna trigger that for PvP for me. Feral Druid, again, nothing's really changing with it. It's just solid. It's just a good pick. I think it's strong overall. It's more complex though than BM Hunter, but I think it's got some safety. It's got some strength, but it is more complex. Feral Druid for me, I just never really get into it too much, to be honest. I think it could be more fun because the crowd control changes. Hopefully we're not just getting stunned by rogues all the time and not getting just snared up constantly. So maybe it could be a little bit more fun for me in terms of checking out, but I don't think it's at like the top of my list at the moment. Unfortunately, there's a little bit of subjectivity there towards that one. If you're a feral fanatic, I think you're gonna like the feline right now. I think it's gonna be going into a frenzy. But for me, I'm just not too much of a feral fiend. We got the Boomkin here, which is another one I think looks like a lot of fun right now. It's also because it's pretty strong, finally in a strong position. A lot of good damage right now. Defense is okay. Gonna be checking it out. I think the Dispel Protection is the most interesting component of it, and I'm kind of curious to see how a Starfall build can work as well, given that the change of pace of game that's going on at the moment. So for me, I think Boomkin is at the top of the list of specs that I want to check out for this, although might be more volatile of a ride as far as tuning. It's one where I could see it potentially getting tuned down. Devourer Demon Hunter, this one I didn't really like because it's so cooldown heavy. You just do your big hunt burst window with Void Blade and then wait for it to reset and build up and do it again. I really just don't like that playstyle of heavy cooldown gameplay. Like, it's okay, can be fun at times. The 100 souls build is probably disappearing, so you're pretty much gonna have to play the hunt now. I think it's just like kind of okay, but like I'm not probably not gonna be one of the first things that I jump on for the patch. Demonology Warlock, it's really fun if you like making other people miserable by just putting all of your stuns into one player and fears and coils, and if you just spam all your crowd control into one target, you can make them absolutely miserable. So you can drag them down below your baseline level of misery, which is because you don't do any damage, and you can feel good about playing Demonology at the moment. For me, it's probably just like, you know, it's kind of good. I think it might be a little bit more frustrating as far as trying to get pressure going. Maybe it would be down here. I don't know where to put this one. This is a tough one. I'm not really thinking I'm going to log on Demo right away, but I might try to give it a go. It's probably closer towards the bottom of like specs I'm going to log in to try. It's mostly just because it doesn't feel like it can create damage, and I don't really like the tickle monster specs at the moment, but it could get buffed. It's probably a spec in a position where it likely could get buffed. Destruction Warlock's already getting nerfed on Tuesday with Soulfire seeing a 30% reduction, but I think it's still really good. I think it's going to be very fun in Battlegrounds. This is like, you got to get on it. It's much simpler than Affliction as well, so if you want more simplicity, it's a good one to go for. However, it's kind of a bursty one-shot spec, and bursty one-shot specs tend to be on the radar for initial nerfs. So it probably will get nerfed. I think for me, I'm going to put it on like the fun tier, but it could be max fun as well. It could be easily up here. Maybe we'll put it up here with Boomkin or something. Definitely a good one as far as throughput right now. I think it's a good patch to be a Destro. Devastation Evoker, again, this one is actually decently strong, much like BM. It's simple. It's going to get you results. It's probably not going to get nerfed. I think it's honestly a pretty safe one to go after as a main right now. But I'm not super interested. I just don't like the flying around Disintegrate Laser. I just get bored of it. It's just too linear for me. So again, much like Beastmaster Hunter, it's probably going to be one of the specs that I check out later in the patch once I've burned through a lot of the ones that I'm more excited about. Discipline Priest is usually my favorite healer to play, but it's very weak right now. I would say that it's on the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to healers. It is still fun to play, but it's probably going to be frustrating because of game balance. But the game balance, I think, is something that they are going to look at. Like right now, I think Holy Priest is going to be a major outlier, especially because they buffed its mana, on top of it already being, in my opinion, the top performing healer, which was completely unexpected. I didn't expect that until after I played this week. Up to that point, I thought it was going to be the weakest healer, and then going into it, I was like, this is actually the strongest. For me, I think it's probably still going to be decently fun. I like the atonement playstyle, doing damage to heal type of deal, but it's definitely on the weaker side, so be aware of that. But it also means you might get buffed, so you could be saved here while having the fun factor, but you're riding on the chance that they buff you. Elemental Shaman kind of feels like a tickle monster at the moment, which is my main gripe with it. They stripped some of the damage out of the cooldowns. Obviously, you can't really one-shot on too many specs right now, then maybe Assassination, but it's just like, I found it, like, I'm going to log into it to try and give it a go, but I'm expecting it to kind of feel like more like this, like mid-level of fun, just because it feels like a little tickle monster at the moment, which is my main pain point for it. So, but maybe it'll get buffed. We will have to see. I'm just going to leave it like in the middle as far as like just good fun, you know what I mean? Like, maybe I should change this to like mid, you know what I mean? Like mid, is that a better word? I feel like good makes it sound like it's strong, but this is supposed to be like a fun tier list. Enhancement Shaman looks like a lot of fun right now. It's got decent throughput. I would definitely put it up here, somewhere up here, the fun factor. I think it's a decent patch to be an Enhancement Shaman. Frost Death Knight, I don't really like it again because it's too simple. It is getting the 9% buff, but it's very one-shotty. It's only doing damage in its cooldowns. Not my style. I don't really like that. I was hoping that they would shift more specs away from that playstyle, but Frost Decay is 100% within that domain. But it's probably going to be more fun than Unholy. I'm going to put it a little lower here. It's just a spec that I'm probably going to check out later because of just nothing about it is grappling me. You know, there's no new mechanics or features for it. That's like, it's just going to be grip, blind, stun, one shot. And I've seen that for like 10 years and I'm just kind of bored of that mechanically. It's going to work. And if you like that, then by all means, go for it. But for me, I'm just kind of bored of it. Fire Mage looks like a lot of fun right now. I'm tossing this one up under the max fun. Just has a lot better numerical throughput on all of its abilities, and the double barrier has made you significantly tankier than you were last patch. Unfortunately, Frost is probably still going to be better. I think the double ice block is actually now going to be the main differentiating factor between them, but it's a lot of fun from its throughput numbers. Even with the nerfs coming to Meteor, I think it's still going to be a really good one to go after, a fun one. Frost Mage is pretty much staying exactly the same. You know, invisibility is going to be a little bit of a longer cooldown. The snares are a bit weaker, but its viability feels about close to the same as where it was. As far as fun, I'm kind of bored of it because it's just been this. It's just Ray of Frost and then flurry, lance. Not really too much going on with it. So like for me, I think it's kind of a bit more mid. It's just not fresh. Basically, is my main issue with it. But it can be fun. Definitely can be fun. Maybe I should put it here to be more fair with it because the throughput on it definitely will be fun. I think for me, I'm just burnt out on it because it's been basically the same. Fury Warrior, unfortunately, you're like a little tickle monster. You are getting a bit of a damage buff. Hopefully that's going to help you with being the tickle monster thing, especially with the overall stat increase plus that buff and plus some healer nerfs. I think Holy Priest is just going to be the main thing. Honestly, they threw in some last minute changes. They buffed Ret by like another 6%, nerfed Disc Priest, unfortunately, by like a little bit on their reflected damage on their Void Shields. But I was hoping they would nerf Holy Priest like last minute for PvP because I just think it's going to ruin the first week at least. But Fury Warrior, I think it's fun from a flavor standpoint, but for me, I just the damage profile on it wasn't selling me. This could change again. Maybe the buffs that are coming to it and the stat increase does do something significant, but for me, it's kind of mid when it comes to the melee. Havoc Demon Hunter, I personally don't like this one. I feel like almost all your abilities don't move a health bar except your Reaver's Glaive. It's like you get Reaver's Glaive and you get the combo off, and then you do a Death Sweep and you chunk someone, and then everything else, like your Eye Beam, everything else just feels like you're doing nothing. You're just kind of attacking to get that proc to actually do something. I don't really like that personally. So I think for me, it's kind of mid. The backflipping's cool, but you know, go jumping around the map like a giant demon is fun, but the damage profile of it makes it a lot less enjoyable for me. Holy Priest, it's really giga OP. So like, but I think I get bored on this healer almost immediately. It's my number one recommended healer for a beginner, and I would still recommend it to you if you're a beginner, if somebody who really wants to take advantage of something being strong right now. But when it comes to fun, I get bored of it so fast. It doesn't really have a lot that the other layers of that the other healers have as far as layers. So as weird as this might sound, I'm saying no thanks as far as fun. As far as fun, no thanks. But the thing is it's so OP that I'll probably end up playing it, but I don't want to be. This is again where the taste comes in as far as most fun. But I guess I'm trying to think of what could be fun about it to change this. I think the Aura Mastery Circle on the ground is fun. Putting that down and trying to get your allies to use it, like on a caster, could be fun, so they can free cat. I'm gonna do it. It's getting upped a bit just because it's so OP. That's it. That's the only reason it's getting up, just because it's so OP. It's going to be fun because it's OP. And again, this is where like you're picking based on fun, and fun is subjective. Some people think winning every time is fun. Some people think just a playstyle is fun, or the flavor of the fantasy is fun, or a mixture of all of the different options. But you're gonna have fun because it's OP. But other than that, I think that you might get bored of it. Holy Paladin looks pretty decent. The melee wings build does seem to be taking over, and I'm not a big fan of it. But it is getting nerfed at the same time. So for me, again, Holy Paladin and Holy Priest are kind of just mid as far as fun, because they're just so straightforward. But because they're so straightforward, they're really good if you're a beginner or jumping into PvP as a healer for the first time. But for me, I find them, I get bored of them pretty rapidly relative to the other options. Marksmanship Hunter, this is where I'm going against the grain here, because this is where I said like those three factors, right? Fantasy, power, and then like complexity are reasons for enjoying these. I usually like things that are a bit more complex, but Marks is definitely not complex, but its fantasy is really fun. I like the archer just sitting in the back and blasting, and you can still do that. So like I'm picking this one in the max fun tier mostly for my fantasy preference, and it's strong fantasy preference, but it is more simple. So and it's one that's probably not going to get nerfed. I don't think its one shots are as egregious that it's probably going to get too much attention on the radar, so it might be pretty safe overall too. Mistweaver, I absolutely hate this. I don't know why, I just do. This is just like, I'm just rapidly putting it down into the no thanks tier, but like it's a lot of target swapping and a lot of range restrictions. It's like Disc Priest, but I have to annoyingly get into melee range a lot, and I don't like that. I feel very exposed on it. I feel like I get CC'd a lot, and you get kicked a lot. Has a lot of drawbacks compared to a lot of the other healers, with not a lot of the payout, in my opinion. I just never like it. It's yet to be a patch where I was like, man, this is going to be my main. You know what I mean? When I log into it, I don't know what it is. Some people still like it, and if I've disagreed with you, then I've disagreed with you, obviously. But for me, I think it's probably going to struggle too. It seems like its mana is in a bit of a rough spot relative to at least Holy Priest at the moment. Outlaw Rogue, another one that I'm honestly going to say no thanks. It just feels like a tickle monster with too much effort. Like it's way too much strain on my fingers and brain to try and manage the rotation for just hardly moving a health bar. It just seems like it's more headache than it is fun for me. And its performance, it's a rogue, so like in the hands of the best player, it's probably still going to be really good. But for me, it's like a no thanks right now. Preservation Evoker, definitely a fun one. The flying around, doing the instant fire breath and spamming chrono flames is really fun at the moment. I like that little window where you do a bunch of damage and finding opportunities to sleepwalk and just zooming around the map. I think it's fun. Decent strength. I don't know if I'd say it's not better than Holy Priest, but decent strength. Prot Warrior, I actually think this one is probably the most fun healer because you get the charge knock. I really like that. And you'd be really annoying with it. So for me, all the tanks right now that I'm looking at when I'm looking at it, like Prot Warrior might be the one that I would want to try to do something with. Prot Paladin, again, it's got way more mechanics than the other tanks, but it basically functions as a second healer with how many defensive cooldowns it has. Again, it's probably just like, it's good, but it's just not getting my attention. And I'm not really thinking too much about tanks right now, right, with the start of a new patch. Resto Druid, maxi fun. You get to go into cat, you get to get stuns out, big damage with it, cyclones. It's more complex though than the other healers, so take that into account. It is getting a slight nerf, but I think it's still gonna be really good. And with a slight nerf, it's probably maybe not going to get nerfed any further than that, but I think it's a really good one to go after. Retribution Paladin just got like Omega Giga buffed. I think that there's no way that it's not a tickle monster. I wish some other specs that are tickle monsters got as much attention as Ret Paladin did for this reset, because it's getting a lot more damage. I kind of get bored of it though. It's just a bonk spec like BM Hunter. So like for me, not super stoked about testing it or checking it out on release. It's just too simple for me. But if you want something that is simple and strong, and you like the fantasy of the big hammer, then obviously Ret Paladin is going to be the go-to for you. Restoration Shaman, I like the playstyle of it. I like the Riptides, fast casted heals, purges, lightning bolts for interrupts, and knocking people around. But its throughput is gonna, I think, be noticeably weaker than other healers. I'm gonna put it on, like, it's more fun than these guys for me personally with the layers of complexity that it has. But I think tuning will make it feel harder to pull off, unfortunately. Shadow, I do like the Archon build. I think Halo is fun with the Mind Flay Insanities and Mind Trauma and sucking haste out of the target. I actually think that is pretty fun. But it just feels like you don't do much outside of that. So it's not like, I think for me it's like probably like a mid-level pick. Or something that I'll get to, but it's just, I don't like how much damage it does outside of Void Form, basically. It just feels very dependent on that cooldown window. Subtlety Rogue, I'm not too excited about trying it this time around. I feel like, the stun DR nerf was aimed almost directly at that spec, because it's pretty much the only spec that could take advantage of stunning every 16 seconds. It just doesn't, Gormoth's Bite is getting added, I guess, so you get a little bit of a little change there where you can buff up your combo point damage, but I just think it's not, it's just like, I'll probably just go mid. It's just mostly for me just because not too much is changing, and I'm kind of burning out on it. I think there's a lot more that's getting some more attention to it that I think is cool to check out. I think it is honestly on the weaker side when it comes to rogues. I think Assassination is going to be the clear leader there, but for me, just kind of feeling mid as far as, like, this is mostly just like, how much do I want to log into it, right, when the servers come up. It's just not near the top there right now. Survival Hunter, unfortunately, is also in that boat. From what I've seen, at least, it's like damage is okay, but not amazing. I do like the grappling hooks, and I do like the tracker's net. That does make it feel a bit different. And I do think the Mending Bandage will be pretty good right now with how popular I'm anticipating Assassination Rogue to be. So, like, maybe I want to check it out a little bit more than some guys on this spec, just to see how it fits in that type of matchup and that type of required playstyle. But at the moment, yeah, I mean, I guess like the bottom of the fun tier is probably a fair spot for it. Unholy, I'm sorry, absolutely not. This thing is just a tickle monster. Feels like you're doing nothing, and again, it's way too much effort for how much payout you get. Much like Outlaw Rogue, I don't want to log on it. I don't want to log on it. It's desperately in need of boofs. Vengeance Demon Hunter, you're also a tickle monster with a lot of CC, and you run around just CCing people. So I think, like, for me, it's probably not the last tank, but pretty close to the last one. As far as excitement to get it. Windwalker Monk, it's basically just the same package as last season, but you're tankier. You still kind of get kited around in wizard lobbies, but I think that I kind of want to test out its tankiness a bit, at least a bit. So I'm going to put it a bit higher on this list here, towards the mid pack of the fun. So when you're looking at this is kind of my personal preference, personal bias, as far as, like, I'm logging in and, like, these are the specs that I really want to try. Maybe Shaman would be more than Prez. These are the specs that I basically want to try, like, in order upon logging in, and these guys down here I'd be okay with probably never logging in unless they get some attention, unfortunately. And those are just my vibes. All right, if my vibes don't align with your vibes, I'm sorry. This is just more so my personal taste. I've done my best to try and consider other possible tastes as well in the construction of this list, and so I hope that it has helped you. Let me know what you're most excited to check out in 12.1 season 2 down below in the comment section. Other than that, thank you guys very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.